Welcome to another edition of the More You Know Co. podcast that's all about the people and places of Northern Colorado. Today, Gary Shackley will tell us about a great concept making food healthy, quick, and affordable called Clean Eatz.
So I'm Brandon Barnes here with Nathan Wineland and Gary Shackley on this episode of the More You Know Co. podcast. Gary, thanks for joining us today. Today's big topic, Gary is the new owner of some Clean Eatz restaurants, or what would you say, Clean Eatz?
Yeah, cafes. It's really hard to say restaurant. The minimal portion of the proceeds are actually gross sales come from the restaurant, but it's more of a meal plan. Grab-and-go type of location.
So tell us a little bit, you kind of hit on it there, but more about Clean Eatz and then how you wanted to get into that business.
Sure. So being in my current career for over 27 years and having a 7 and a 9-year-old, I knew I had, a substantial amount of work life left, and started thinking about transitioning probably a couple years ago. I got really serious about it about a year ago and started looking into things like real estate and mortgage lending and owning, big rigs and just you name it. There was ample opportunity. And once I got out of my own head and realized there was so much more out there, this kind of fell into my lap because my wife and I, both very physically active, we like to eat well. We're both working, so it's hard to make time to actually cook a meal at the end of the day, and it's really the last thing we want to do. We can grill like crazy, but outside of that, we happened upon Clean Eatz. Actually, there was at the PD gym, there was a brochure that somebody had obtained and put up there, and I saw it. And I think about January we became kind of customers. And they have an online sign up. Meals come out on Thursdays. The meals there's 6 meals, 5 savory meals, and 1 breakfast. And it fit into our lifestyle perfectly. All the macros are listed on the meals, so you can count your calories, your carbohydrates, your protein, your fats. And whether you're, like a bodybuilder type who's tracking that to the gram or just somebody who kind of keeps it in mind, it really fit into our lifestyle well. The owner started this company or this franchise about 10 years ago, and they were actually bodybuilders and kind of selfishly did it for their own little gym rat crowd. And what they determined once they opened their first location was that everybody, this was appealing to a wide variety of people. And it just took off. And I think there's approximately 80 locations throughout the United States right now. There's only 3 in Colorado that are open, 1 in Johnstown and 2 in Denver. But the more I got into it as a customer, there is a cafe there. The cafe menu is completely different than the meal plan, and the meal plan is completely different from the frozen grab-and-go meals and the cauliflower crust pizzas that you can grab. So it was just really appealing. We had a ton of variety of foods. Taking my 7 and 9-year-old in there for lunch one day, I thought, oh man, they're not gonna dig this at all. And I think we got them a barbecue chicken flatbread or something. And I thought, I'm not even gonna order because they're 9 and 7, and they're gonna leave at least half of it.
Yeah.
And Jacqueline was there with me, and we looked down. We were talking, and we looked down, and everything was gone. And I was like, "Okay, this is really cool that our kids like it." So I introduced myself one day to the owner, and we kind of struck up a relationship. He was very willing to share everything he had learned. He had only been open a matter of months at that time, but had a substantial history in operations, and so we kind of struck up a friendship, and basically on Valentine's Day of this year, I submitted a franchise inquiry to corporate, and then they hooked me up with a franchise director, and he walked me through the process. I had to go out to their location in Wilmington in mid-March, and they call it a discovery day, and I'm sure every franchise has something like that. But it's basically a 2-day job interview, right? Like You're getting ready to sign on for 10 years, and you have to know that it's a good fit for you. And more importantly, they want to know that you're a good fit and that you support their culture and that you're going to help build their brand. Right. And so I got to meet the owners, their whole board, and I walked away from there like, oh my gosh, I was ready to go that day. I was so excited because everybody that I interacted with, you could tell they're a very tight-knit family. They care deeply about this brand. It's not like other franchises that they're just slinging food and they say it's healthy, but it's not. And I have some friends who have other franchises in the area. This was something I could really get behind because it's wholesome, clean food. We like to kind of say that it's from the perimeter of the grocery store instead of the center, right, where all the processed food is.
Sure.
So went through that process, and then just, I had tremendous support from Jacqueline, my wife at home, and my extended family. And I said, hey, I haven't been this excited about another opportunity since I got hired, at the police department 27 plus years ago. That's how impacting this was to me. And people were laughing because I would start talking about it and I would just get all excited and super passionate, and they're like, man, this is something for you. So I knew I was onto something. So I signed a franchise agreement at the end of May and decided I'm kind of a all in or all out. So I said, all right, go big or go home. I'm going to be mad if I open one and then everything else gets gobbled up and I don't have an opportunity to expand. So I decided to buy 3 locations that I plan on opening in the next 5 years. So those locations are going to be Cheyenne, Wyoming, and then the Broomfield, Thornton area, and then probably a little further south into West E, maybe even down into Arvada. But living in Windsor and we're going to stay in Windsor, but having that ability to kind of be centrally located to those areas was appealing based on the locations that were available to me.
Yeah. And it sounds, such a cool business idea. So many people want to eat healthy, but whether it's right or wrong, they come up with their own excuses, right? I don't have time. I don't know how to cook this. Or maybe it's just an education piece. They don't know what foods to eat, based off their diet. So are you guys able to kind of cater specific meals individually, or how does that work?
Yeah, so when the meal plan comes out, they have anything from brisket con queso, so it's like spiral wheat pasta noodles with barbecue sauce mixed in and brisket laid on top, and maybe a veggie on the side. Stuff that you're literally looking at going, this can't be good for me.
Sure.
But it's healthy. I don't think there's a meal on there that's over 500 calories. Most of them are in the 3 and the 4. A couple of the breakfasts are in the 2s. So there's just a huge variety of food, and the corporate at Clean Eatz Kitchen and Yvonne, the owner, they just do a tremendous job of coming up with new varieties of meals and keeping people interested and making them appealing. They do offer a high protein version of any of the meals, so it's basically extra protein. Or if you're watching your carbs, then they have a low carb version as well. Those take an extra day to prepare, so they forecast what you think you're going to need for the week, and then they take all the orders, and then they make the high protein or low carb versions, and those are available for pickup on Tuesdays. The other meals are available on Sundays and Mondays. So like us, we'll order 15, 20 meals a week, pop in there Sunday afternoon, and they punch in your number and off you go. And the goal is to have people in and out of there in about 3 to 5 minutes. And it's really a destination. It's not something that you just happen by when you're getting your hair cut. You may see it for the first time, but most of the customers are intentionally, hey, I got to swing by and pick up my meals for the week, or I'm going to go pick up 10 grab and go frozen meals, or their pizzas are tremendous as well. So
yeah, it really sounds like it makes just clean, healthy eating much more convenient for people.
It is, and it fits into, whether you're vegan or keto or, Weight Watchers or whatever plan you might be on or program. This really fits really well. It blends and meshes very well into any of those kind of lifestyles that you choose. And, in Clean Eatz, their motto is we change lives. And that's the exciting part. They sponsor fitness challenges throughout the year. They give away, $25,000 to, one winner throughout the United States for, their fitness goals. What I'm excited about is, in addition to the national advertising that they provide, is, being able to identify a customer that comes in the store one day and say, and he says, hey, tell me about this. I'm trying to lose 20 pounds, or I'm trying to get in better shape, and, start profiling that person through their journey. Obviously with their blessing, but start profiling them and highlighting, their success as they go. And that's the exciting part for me. And coming from a job where we engage with the public on a daily basis, this transitioned very nicely for me. And I can continue to, engage with the community and kind of give back. This is something that fits into my lifestyle, so it's very easy for me to get behind.
Right.
That's interesting. It's a brilliant concept as far as a lot of the grab and go stuff or the quick meals is kind of related to that high calorie, that processed food, that stuff that's just awful for you, high sodium. And there's very few places where you can really grab something quickly or lay out your meal when you're working until 6 o'clock. You don't have time to come home and cook for an hour, or there's a lot of people out there that just don't really know how to cook. And so their choices are, hey, grab something that we're going to pop in the microwave, or go out and eat. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's getting pretty expensive to go out and eat anymore. It's just you break the bank just to hit and grab a meal for four. So the idea of being able to know that something's going to be real healthy, that you're going to be picking up in order to feed the family and do it quickly is certainly a heavy need. But tell me just a little bit about how it works. So you mentioned that you have like a cafe, like there's a center there. You got some grab and go meals. You can put it in an order, but tell me a little bit more about how that all works.
So when you walk in, it's a normal cafe storefront, right? There's a menu up front. The menu's fixed. They have buildable, so you pick your base, which is like one of my favorites is the quinoa and kale. And then they have other rice.
And this is if you're just walking in to eat there.
Yeah, if you just want to walk in, either eat at the location, or if you want to take it to go.
Oh, okay.
Then you pick your protein. So there's shrimp, chicken, beef, and then you pick your sauce. You pick your vegetables. There's probably 12 or 15 veggies up there, and then you pick 3 of those. So you can really kind of tailor your specific taste to the cafe menu. And then they have their own proprietary sauces that are way better for you than the stuff you can buy on the shelf. They have their own proprietary spices. And one of my favorite bowls is the bison bowl. And it's not something that you really go out and look for. The price of groceries and price of meat is extremely high right now. The average price on a meal, the grab and goes, are $6.99.
Wow.
You can't go anywhere and get a meal for $6.99.
No.
And that's also exciting to me because not only does it cater to, the needs of people that want to eat healthy, but it's also affordable. You can't go out and eat. You can't order anything for $7 and get any, not even an appetizer.
No.
And the meal plans are tiered, so if you buy 1 to 5, it's just over $8. If you buy 5 to 10, there's a 30, 40 cent break, and so on up to 15 to 21. So it's super affordable. It doesn't matter what your socioeconomic background. You could be a student, and and really this is affordable for you. But the cafe also does smoothies. We sell protein, and they use the same protein in the smoothies. They have wraps, tortilla wraps that you can pretty much build, and then they sell bison turkey burgers, and you can get a burger for under $10. I mean, you can go to Red Robin, which is right down the street, and
12,
they're cheapest ones,
$15.
$12 to $15. So, it's just an incredible concept, and again, that's why I was so excited to get behind it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you can lay out like your whole week, stop, pick it up.
Yep. Yeah, the only thing you really have to do is make room in your fridge or your freezer. So, we cleaned out a shelf, and we get home on Sunday, and the grab and goes are actually labeled because they're frozen, so you don't have to worry about those. But the fresh ones you just ordered, so you know what you're picking up. So I just take a Sharpie so my wife or my kids know what's on them, and I just write, hey, this is this, and I take a breakfast. When I go to work, I take a breakfast with me, eat at my desk, and then I eat a lunch at my desk, and I'll have a couple snacks throughout the day. And then when I get home, we, especially in the summer, we usually grill something healthy anyway. But I've probably turned on, I don't know, at least 20 people from our agency onto that, and I've just gotten rave reviews on everybody's satisfaction with it. So.
Well, between the price and then the product, it's just a no-brainer of that, and definitely something that's missing not only in Colorado but across the nation is there's just not a whole lot of healthy options that are really economically feasible for that.
And there's no other concept like this in our market right now. I'm sure they'll come, but right now, being on that kind of front end of that and kind of leading the way, I'm excited about.
Do you guys offer anything like, it's Friday night, got off work late, I can stop in, kind of like a family meal?
They do have family meals as well. Those are frozen, but they heat up, really quickly. You can put them in the oven for 20 minutes and 30 minutes and you're done. And different than getting the boxes shipped to your house of the prepped meals, you still have to cook. We've done those over the years. They're kind of fun as a family event, but you still have to cook.
Yeah.
So you're 45 minutes to an hour in. They do have family size meals that we'll feed a family of 4 to 6. To do that because I had to remember to smile and be this kind of outgoing individual and really sell myself because that was the first piece. And as I mentioned before, this was really turned out to be like a 2-day job interview. So yeah, there were some nerves. But what set the tone was the franchise manager said, hey, everybody at corporate, including the owners, are super low-key, super chill. Do not come out here in a coat and tie, anything like dress is casual. And I'm like, are you sure? Is this a trick? And sure enough, I actually convinced myself to wear jeans and just a button-up short-sleeve shirt because it was warm out there. And I walk in and they're all walking around in their Clean Eatz t-shirts and shorts. And, it truly was like they don't believe in, being too formal about it. So that kind of set my mind at ease, like, okay, I think I can connect with these people. And then I'll call it what it really felt like, which was speed dating. They had like 7 different rooms set up at corporate. And so they had the training coordinator set up in one. They had the operations manager set up in another. They had the owner set up in another. And the marketing team, the construction team. So you got 8 minutes. I think it was 8 minutes or 7 or 8 minutes with each one. So it was kind of like this speed dating, you're just getting in there, hey, my name's so-and-so, and here's what I'm about, and if you have any questions, you ask. But it was actually kind of fun because you didn't really have a chance to be too nervous because they were asking, a lot of questions of you, and hey, what's your background in this, and here's what we can do to help you. What I've discovered is kind of the beauty of getting into a franchise is they have a roadmap for everything. Like
Sure.
They tell you, here's how you're going to do this, here's how you do this. I already have a project manager that's going to walk me through picking the location, through working with my contractor. I have a task list of like 470 some things just on that. So unless you don't follow the model, you should be fairly successful. So got through my little speed dating thing and got to meet the owners, and and that was kind of the big deal. It's probably no different than you guys when you're interviewing for a job and you got to meet the big boss. You're like, oh geez. And I hadn't interviewed for a job in a minute, so I had a couple questions and felt like we connected pretty well. And I got a call. That was Wednesday and a Thursday, and then they all took us to lunch at their original location outside. And it was just there were 6 other people there, and of course me. I'm like, all right, when are we going to find out? And they're like, well, we kind of look at this as a little bit of a cooling off period. Everybody gets emotional on the front end and gets all excited, and we get excited, but we want to process for a few days, so you'll know Monday. And sure enough, it's 2 hours earlier there, and I got up about 5:30 on Monday morning, and by 6 I had an email, hey, congratulations. The owners feel like you're a good fit for their brand and their culture, and then it's just been kind of going through the process since. So my last day of work is coming up next week on Thursday, and then it's basically full steam ahead into this new venture.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Congratulations,
That's really cool.
on
Yes.
both
fronts?
Yeah, on both fronts for sure. And that's what sounds really cool. Obviously I didn't know a whole lot about the franchise, and we wanted to have you on there to learn more about you and the business. But what sounds really neat about this is you go out there and corporate is supporting the owners, the franchisees, right? And the franchisees are supporting their employees, and then customers. Everybody really seems vested in each other's success all around on this, on every front. And that's just an incredible business and business model for sure.
Yeah, I feel very supported, and being kind of the new guy, making a ton of connections with other Colorado owners. Another franchisee just bought in Colorado Springs, so just putting myself out there and getting to know people and asking a ton of questions, and there's I have a library full of material, online to read, to get familiar with, and you have to go out there for a week for corporate training, and then they come out and help you open. And I think the exciting part for me is being a supervisor in my current job and kind of leading high-performing small teams for the last 16 plus years. That's going to transition nicely into hiring a team of employees and knowing how to connect with them, and not getting in the weeds about small stuff, but really developing those relationships and making them feel supported, and just kind of continuing on in a different manner.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I know we talked about it, but I may have missed it. Is your Cheyenne location open now, or not yet?
No. So I'm actually scheduled to go next week to kind of lock down that first location. That Cheyenne area is kind of blowing up population-wise and economy, and and having a military base up there with Warren, and then the full-time Air National Guard.
Sure.
I think those guys deploy for 5 days at a time, and they have to take their meals.
Right.
So I think this model is going to fit
that'd
in.
be perfect there.
Yeah, it's gonna
I
fit
can see
in.
why you chose there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to fit
absolutely.
in very nicely, and kind of the current state of affairs. the Denver market is just less appealing with, the higher rent and the interest rates being what they are. And
Sure.
I think this is going to be a great fit for me. And I'm a small town guy, right? I grew up in eastern Colorado and in 2A, school, and I can connect a little more with Cheyenne, and that'll get me my experience and, get my feet wet, so to speak, and then I'll be ready to take on Denver and keep going.
Yeah.
Sounds like just unlimited growth opportunities.
It does, doesn't it?
For this.
It sounds like it just because it's such a high demand kind of area. I can really see the need for it. I hear a lot of people that have these business ideas and so forth or talking about something. It's like, yeah, that's great. It sounds all great. What is the demand for what you're talking about? Is there people that really want your product or your service? And I mean, on this one, this is like a no-brainer. I mean, this is something that I could see just because I can probably really relate it in an office job to where it's, it's lunchtime already. I've got 30, 40 minutes, whatever. I need to run out and grab something. So, okay, well, that's $20 down the drain. If I'm running out to grab something, it would be much better. And it's going to be terrible for me. And, maybe I just starve at my desk because I don't want to subject myself to that. But to be able to run someplace, grab something that I know is healthy, not break the bank to do it, bring it back, eat it at my desk, know that I'm, on the right path. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it really hit home with me because I supervise a team of, I call them kids. They're all in their mid-30s. But, they're all athletic. They all do certain, types of workouts, and they're always wanting to go to the local, like, hey, let's go to Mexicali, let's go to Athens, whoever. And it's great food, but I can't not eat the fries at Athens if I go to Athens,
sure,
right?
Of course. They're the best ever.
And then I get back to the office, and I just feel like I need a nap. And for me, it was developing that routine of taking my food and saying politely, no, you guys go do your thing. And now I've got, several of them are actually buying the meals and kind of figuring out like, hey, this is actually good and the portions are decent and, you're saving a ton of money over the week if you start breaking down how much you spend a month eating out.
Yeah.
It's a significant amount, so.
And the energy level you'd have for the rest of the day has got to pay off beautifully too.
Yeah, definitely.
So if I lived a ways away from a location, am I able to order the meals online and have them shipped to my house?
You can. So through Clean Eatz Kitchen out of Wilmington, North Carolina, you can, if you don't have a location in your area, you can log into that, create an account. They will, and you can order online, and they'll ship them directly to your house. And that's from corporate side. So it's funny, a lot of times now, like just through an acquaintance, I know a guy who runs a construction company in Dacono, and he drives up every Sunday, to the current location here by Shields and picks up his meals. And he was so excited. He's like, "You're coming to Denver? Thank you," because it's way closer. But yeah, there is a corporate option available as well.
Well, I think that'd be great. You visit maybe a place for vacation, or you have family there, and you get the opportunity to try this. You see how the benefits of it. Then you go back home, wherever that is, and there might not be a location there. So I think that's great to be able to order them.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the guys who works in our division was in training in Hoover, Alabama last week. And I get this random text, and it's a picture of Clean Eatz in Hoover. And he's like, "Look what I found." And I'm like, "Well, you better go eat there." But being away for a week on training, the same thing. Your routines kind of go out the window. And
so it seems, when you're shifting careers like this, you're leaving something with some great benefits and so forth, good pay, something that's stable, and you're taking this leap of faith. You're stepping out and saying, "I want to accomplish more in life than what I've got now." That just takes a unique kind of person and some real. It's some risk and it's some great reward. But how did you feel about that?
I'm not going to lie, it was scary. I've had several people throughout my career that I have watched, at 5-year, 10-year, 15-year mark, walk away. And I had such respect for them because I thought, man, I don't know if I could do that. Because, we kind of affectionately call it the golden handcuffs in law enforcement. We make decent pay, we have great benefits and insurance, and it's a very stable job. It's recession-proof, right? And it's hard to walk away from. And for some of us, like I've done this job for over half my life. It's all I've known in my adult life. So when I started wrapping my head around the idea of doing something else, it was scary because I'm like, well, I don't know how to do anything else. And once I started getting away from the inner circle of my coworkers, and really talking to people outside of that line of work, I started figuring out, man, I'm capable of pretty much anything I want to do. I'm just stuck in this mindset of, doing this. But it was scary, and I finally just convinced myself to stop looking at it in terms of what could go wrong and looking at it from what could go right and
Sure.
what's the potential. And that really shifted my focus around into being a little more eager to take this on and not be afraid of, oh man, well, if things go wrong, what if I succeed, knock it out of the park.
Right.
And that really kind of helped me be okay with the risk that's coming, because I know what my work ethic's like. I'm not afraid to work. I'm giving up a 40-hour week job to dive into a 60, 70-hour week
Right.
job. And I know that going in. So that part doesn't scare me. I'm probably more excited about the challenge than I am nervous. You know, the money's the money. I'm not worried about any of that piece and getting started. I'm more excited about the ability to work with people, like what I've been doing for the last 27 years, and helping people better themselves, you know, whether it's through their professional development or now it's going to be through their personal development, right, of getting on track. It's interesting because we recently bought a vehicle, and I'm dealing with the finance guy, and he says, hey, I heard you're leaving soon, and, you know, that's really cool. And he said, well, what are you going to go do? And I mentioned Clean Eatz. And this big old smile got on his face. He reaches around behind him in his little dorm-sized fridge and pulls out a frozen grab-and-go meal. And
awesome.
I thought that was just so cool.
That's the sign right there. That's the sign.
And
You're heading in the right direction.
You know, and he's on a fitness regimen. You know, he's a typical dad, right?
Yeah.
He got married, got into the workforce, had a couple kids, and kind of didn't pay attention to himself and let himself go for the benefit of the family and work and everything that we all do. And now he's made the decision that, hey, I want to fix that. And so he's on a fitness regimen. He's on a diet. He has a dietitian and a nutritionist. And it was just kind of cool to go, man, I get to be part of this. So the further I dive into this, the less risky it seems. And the more excited I get about it, just being able to dive into something completely outside of the box for me.
I think mindset, right, is such a huge piece of this. Anytime the unknown, I think maybe just naturally human nature, we always kind of assume the worst case, right? We look at the worst case of that. And that's where that positive mindset is, of looking at what's the upside, what's the potential of this, and just knowing and believing in yourself and knowing, hey, I know what my work ethic is. I know that I can do this, and the opportunities and the potential is unlimited.
It is, and that's what I finally got through was like, you know, we deal with people kind of at their worst in law enforcement, and so that negativity kind of thrives in that environment, right? It's always the downside, and yeah, there's some great stories, but you tend to you can get stuck in that. So for me, it was switching that light switch and going, well, what's the potential? You know, for me, having 10 to 12, 15 years of work life left, I knew I couldn't sustain, you know, a 40-year career in law enforcement. And so when I pulled the trigger and decided to go to this, knowing that I'm going to work 60 plus hours a week, but in 3 to 5 years, when I have managers at each location and I'm just spot checking and just keeping things going and maybe even expanding beyond that, that's the upside for me, is looking at that goal down the road of the options that creates for me and my family moving forward, and the flexibility to go to, you know, baseball games and boxing matches, my kid boxes.
Very
And
cool.
you know, all these different things that as a, you know, kind of shift work based job that you sometimes miss out on. I mean, how many dates and anniversaries and birthdays have we missed over the years?
Right.
So creating options for myself was really the driving force. And at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, all I got to do is look in the mirror and go, well, this is on you. I don't have a finger to point.
Yeah.
You know, it's not my boss's fault. It's nobody's fault, but the guy staring back at me. So I love that challenge, and it's going to, you know, I know I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm going to learn from them and keep moving forward. So.
Well, and the other thing, kind of looking down the road too, right, with the growth and the expansion of these and having multiple units or locations, is potentially the opportunity to pass them down to the kids as well too.
Sure.
Or, you know, that when if you're ready to sell those locations, then there's going to be quite a bit of money in that as well.
And it's funny, I talked to my 9-year-old because, you know, you think, okay, I signed a 10-year agreement. Wow, he's going to be 19. I don't know what college is going to look like in 10 years, or if it's trade school, or you just, you know, maybe this. But it's something that we did talk about of, you know, hey, maybe in 10 years we re-up and let the kids take it over and, you know, and help them ease into it. And or we sell it or whatever. But
Right.
I think, for the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be a lot of hard work, and I think we can ease back a little bit and let it run itself and continue to, expand or maintain what we have, and we'll see.
Yeah. Well, you've got a family just like us, 2 kids, 7 and 9-year-old. What are some of your favorite things that you guys do here in northern Colorado?
So, as a family, we like to hike, bike. My 9-year-old's been in boxing for about a year and a half. He just won the Golden Gloves, 80-pound, 8-9 division for Colorado. So he was super proud of himself, as are we.
Sure.
More proud of the fact that more proud of the work that he put into it than the outcome. But and he did jiu-jitsu for 3 years prior to that at Jared's gym over at Trials. Tremendous coaches over there. Great experience for him. My kids play soccer, flag football, all through rec sports. And then besides the boxing, if we did stuff as a family, it's just the normal, hiking, biking. My son has become quite the runner. My wife's an avid runner, has been her whole life, so he's done 2 or 3 5Ks, and he likes to, he'll run with her once in a while, and he certainly didn't get that bug from me, but and we're just, with Reagan, our 7-year-old, is just introducing her to more and more activities. We've done Arthur's Rock and, a couple of the hikes around local, getting her into the rec sports and figuring out where she's going to be in terms of, is it volleyball, basketball, soccer, whatever that looks like. If I get free time, I like to golf, but, before kids and after kids, version of your dad is quite a bit different. So I used to golf about 100 rounds a year, and now I'm lucky to get a half a dozen, but I still enjoy it. So there's some great courses around northern Colorado.
So we usually try to wrap this up with a question of, if you could go back to when you first started and give yourself advice, what would it be? But you're just starting. So tell us, what will your future self tell you and give you advice for?
I think for me, it was learning to accept the risk earlier. Some of my friends at the police department have commented like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you and you're not going to regret this. And I said, I think the only regret I'm going to have is I didn't do this 5 years ago. And just sitting on that idea of, what's next, and instead of just taking, being decisive, and we're decisive every day in our job. But for some reason, when it comes to your personal life and, and being risk averse because, well, what if this doesn't work out? It's my entire family at stake. And flipping that around and going, well, I know it's going to work because it's me, and I'm going to put in the work, and, we're going to be successful. And what you figure out is I could be successful at anything I wanted to do. And this is what I've chosen for my next path. So I think if I went into the future and came back, I'd say, hey, don't be afraid to take that risk maybe a couple of years earlier, and everything's going to be fine.
Sure. Well, I think this is going to work out awesome for you. I mean, it's a great opportunity. It's a great product. It's going to kill it out there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Thanks again for coming on, and good luck to you. And like I said, and Nathan just said, I'm sure this will do incredibly well, and we will look forward to watching it grow and it become part of your family as well.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thanks for being on the show.